This is our creative brand, wait a minute. This is our creative content assistant, Abby, and she's writing a really cool About Us page for our website. And she has some questions for me. So I figured we would go into it. Check out the scrolling timeline on the bottom of this thing. Look at the years. This is crazy looking.
So how did this all start?
Well, I was born with a power washer gun in my hands. So yeah, that is real. There's no AI in that. My father was a distributor for a company called Consolidated Chem-X Corporation, and he started Chem-X New England as a distributor back in 1979. And so I was born about 5 years later. I was born into this thing and watched my father do this kind of work in a different way, the more old school way, where there was box trucks driving around New England, delivering drums of two-step soaps to fleets, companies, municipalities, places that had a lot of vehicles that were really big and needed to be able to wash them faster. So not touching them was the key.
When did you start helping out your dad with the business?
I started as the head drum washer. We would recycle our drums.
Head drum washer.
Yeah.
Pretty official.
Yeah, I was 7 or 8 years old when I started doing that. So I would wash the drums that came back in all dirty and greasy from the customers so we could refill them and redeliver them.
That's awesome.
So I did that for a bunch of years, and right around 12 years old, I think I started being inspired to clean the shop and get it organized better and reorganize, relay out things, make it a little more efficient. You should have seen the before shop, man. When I was 12 years old, I organized that whole place. Oh, so this is where it gets really interesting. Right between from 12 years old to when I was 16 years old, the main franchisor went out of business.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they were like the marketing engine. So they were the source of the chemicals and the source of the power washers. With the marketing dying off, our customer base, we held on, we kept on going. We hired the chemist that left there as a subcontractor. And then the engineer who built the machines still went out on his own and still offered the parts and pieces for these power washers. I'll show you the ones that we're talking about. So these were the machines that were made by them that my father sold. This one I was lucky, the guy who bought this from my father bought 2 of them back around the early 1980s, I think. Yeah, so this machine was quality checked on June 19th of 1989. My father sold hundreds and hundreds of these things around New England. The guy who bought this one bought 2 of them because he was used to power washers dying out, so he figured he needed a spare. And so 30 years later, he reached back out to me and said, hey, I still have this second one in the box. Do you want it?
That's so cool.
So I maintained friendship with the guy who originally engineered these. He was a guy named Skip Markowitz. He started EDI Distributors afterwards. And all these parts and pieces I was able to get through him so I could keep these things running because they weren't being made anymore, so I had to keep them alive.
Oh, wow, okay.
And so these machines actually was not uncommon to have a 30, 40-year lifespan on these things.
Wow.
And so what you can do is you can get in here and rebuild the pump, you can rebuild the injectors, replace the motor, change the controls out, change the belts, change the oil. And so this was a nice kind of form factor, it being in a cabinet closed in, but I found it to be a nightmare making these things work because everything is in the way of everything else. Yeah. Come on in here, Tyler, and look. These are soap injectors that run upstream of the pump. These are the solenoids that open up the diaphragms that allow the soaps through into the venturi. And so there's a shaft that these solenoids sit on that when you need to clean out these or replace the plunger inside, you have to slide these off. And that shaft is longer than this gap, and it's longer than this gap. So you have to take this all apart. There's pieces in there that fall apart, it's all sloppy. The other thing on maintenance was that inside the pump, you have packing right here. And so I would have to get inside of this pump to swap out the pump packing, and the ceramic triplex plungers are longer inside that than this gap right here. So now you've got to either pull out the pump or pull out the motor just to get at the packing in here that needs to be changed every now and then if there's an issue with pulsation or low pressure. And so I just grew up hating my life on a wrenching level because I was the guy, when I turned 16, the company had shrunk. My father's company had gone from 10 guys down to 1. And then he left the company when I turned 16.
Wow.
And so I hopped into a pickup truck and started driving around New England, servicing all these hundreds of companies that still were using us.
So you kept these bad boys alive, basically.
Yeah, I spent 20 years on the road.
That's wild. That's insanity, man.
So all those problems related to that machine in there, I ended up, when I started getting more customers through reputation, I needed power washers, so I started building my own. And one of my inspirations to go that road was to have designs that were easily wrenched on, that were already wall mounted. And so I built power washers and wash bays for maybe 10 years or so before it became kind of too much for me to keep up with myself. And I didn't know anybody else who could do all of the controls and the hydraulics and the coatings and the welding and all of the things. And it was also more expensive to buy the motor and the pump and all of those pieces and the steel and and to put it all together, and all of my time to do it. It took me like a week to build one.
That's insane.
And so, it wasn't really time or cost efficient.
No, not at all.
So we ended up going with a manufacturer in Canada that makes these for us now, which is still nice quality parts, but the form factor is open, it's wall mounted, and that's a little unique. So I like that style. And you know what we do to those to make those things work. So we're like the quality control.
Yeah.
We get all the pieces in, and that way it streamlines cost. So, but that's what I did. For 20 years, I spent all of that time looking through the windshield and just thinking, there's got to be a better way to do this thing.
Yeah, so you always kind of had a vision in your head. It wasn't always fully realized that you like wanted to like go into your own business, or?
Well, I became part owner when I was around 18 or 20 with my parents. And so that was a partnership that, I still continue just doing the same things, like delivering the route and kind of almost everything aside from maybe some of the accounting aspects. We continued on that way for some years until my parents retired.
Yep.
And then I continued on that Chem-X New England branding up until around 2016.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So 2016 was kind of like the turning point
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had been getting sick of all the windshield time and thinking like there's got to be a way to just package this better or ship things. And how do I open this up so that I'm not a bottleneck? Because I had spent a lot of years kind of not growing. At a certain point, I was maxed out driving around in a truck as far as how much we could do.
Yeah.
So that brings us to an interesting thing. Check this out. In 2015, or right around there, I started getting a lot of job applications.
Okay.
And I didn't know why. I was like, why are all these people reaching out to me with their applications? And so what I didn't know, this company here from New Jersey took the same name from another company in New Jersey back in the 70s. This company. So these guys have done really well. I guess the name was taken from there. They make a killer coffee maker, Tyler. Abby, you ever seen a coffee maker so cool?
No, that's a very unique style coffee maker.
Chem-X. So they moved to my hometown,
Wow. Okay.
right across the river from here. And I started getting their job applications because we had the same name.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so that was when I realized I needed to rebrand.
Okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
they never even talked to me about it. They were just like in town, and I just started noticing like this is a problem. If I want to like get our name out there and build something, then I have to distinguish ourselves as a different thing so that when you look us up on social media or if you Google us, we show up. That was the beginning of Chem-X. I kept it simple. All right, the domain was available. All the social media handles were all available. So in 2015, I got all those lined up. I formed the LLC. I wanted to change to an LLC structure at the time. And so that was my own venture starting in the end of 2015.
Okay.
And so I built the first Chem-X.com.
Yep.
Used Squarespace, not sponsored, like ever. We never are sponsored. So like that website, when I put it live, I was like staring at it. I remember putting it live and looking at it, like, what's gonna happen? Is there anything gonna happen? And nothing ever happened.
No.
So I realized there was more.
You
But
got
I had
it.
already lined up the social media accounts, but I didn't really know how to leverage those yet. So up until that point, getting new customers was kind of like you go to them and you either pop in and you ask for the purchasing guy or the owner. And usually that doesn't work out. Like you're just interrupting. You're like,
Yeah.
I've got some soap. Would you like some? I've got drums of it in here in my truck. Would you like some? It's just crazy. It's a long shot.
Yeah.
What worked better for me was taking better care of my clients that I had already and making sure that they were happy so that other people would hear through, if they needed a guy, that I would be the guy.
Yeah.
And so that worked out on a referral sort of basis for many years. But that was really slow, slow. And it didn't really help get beyond the range of being the wash bay guy, the guy who will bring you the drum and roll it into the spot where it goes and open it and pull the tube out of the old drum and put the pickup tube into the new drum.
Yeah.
And then put the cap on the old drum, pick it up and bring it home and like,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
it was awful. I'm itching to wash this thing, Tyler. You don't mind?
No.
You want to wash it with me?
Sure.
Here, put on step 2 for me. Well, we're gonna need to fix that leak, bro. Nice. The main thing that people would ask was, hey, I heard you're really helpful at getting fleets clean faster. Can you come and show me on my fleet what you can do? And I would travel 3 or 4 hours away from home with all the gear and the soap and the ability to wash down some trucks for the day. And I would just do it, and they would see how easy it was. And it was like, you know, if that was something that made sense to them and the process looked like it worked and the results were good, then maybe they'd buy a power washer or get some soaps from me. That's how it went. That was how getting new accounts looked back then. Yeah, it was a slow process.
If you have an estimate, like how many would you say like were your loyal customers by that point?
I think by the end of like my career of building wash bays and servicing them, I was about maybe 350 wash bays.
Wow.
It was a lot of them. I built a lot of power washers.
That's insanity.
We've got pictures of all those too. I have a question for you.
Yes.
If you had to put into one word what we sell, what do you think it would be?
One word, right?
One word. Everybody knows the rules.
Shit. I would say cleanliness or happiness.
I like those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I feel like your products give people that happiness and joy from like a clean vehicle.
That's good. I like that. Okay. Tyler?
I know this one.
You don't know this one, do you?
He knows your secret.
Maybe I'll change my mind on what our word is.
Okay.
I believe that we've always sold people time. We sell solutions that massively streamline time.
Yeah.
And so you save labor, you eliminate scratching. There's a lot of nuance to time. That's why my clients always hired me in the past, because they needed to save time. We'll make this one lightning quick. You want to do it?
Yeah, sure.
See these runs right here? This is what happens when you put the soap on top down. This just came over from the other side. There's nothing you can do about this, but it might be a little cleaner right there than right there later. So that's why you put the soaps on bottom up. Yeah, some decent foam. Watch out for the light.
Ah, shit. I forget every time.
You're doing a really
so
good
soft.
job of not overspraying the rest of the bay. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I've had people who will take this thing, they would rinse that soap off like this and shoot all of that water into our aperture dome light over there. I'm not kidding, bro. They would just be like, they would be rinsing their car like this. They would just be like that. Dude, I'm not even joking, Tyler. They would open the drawer and aim it into one of the drawers. So I also spend some time on this. Did you notice how long you spent rinsing versus putting on soap? It was quite a bit more time.
There's more time?
I think so. That's why when you're washing a giant big rig, especially ones with a lot of mirror polished aluminum,
Yep.
you don't want that soap to dry on there. And if you're outside in the sun, the air is moving around, you could soap down the whole truck in like 1 minute and then spend 20 minutes trying to get it off of there.
Yeah.
And it's bone dry by the time you get around the other side. And so on large projects, you wash in sections, especially if you're outside.
Okay, that makes sense.
People get worried about the whole like, don't wash in direct sunlight thing we put on the labels. That's only for like big rigs with polished aluminum because we don't want it to dry on the aluminum and leave any streaking behind or any soap residue.
Yeah.
And so we just put it on there for that. Cars are really easy because it's almost impossible for it to dry before you get back to it if you have a decent power washer. And if it were to dry on there, it wouldn't really be a problem. It might be some soap stains behind that you can wash off again, but it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
One of the challenges that we had was changing our soap line from the crazy stuff that we used to make when I was a kid to what we
Crazy
have now. We used to sell the hard stuff.
Oh, okay. Like heavy duty.
Like hydrofluoric acid, literally.
Oh, wow.
That was our pre-soak.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And a much hotter sodium hydroxide for the second step.
Wow.
And so it cleaned to 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Worked really well.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But it would also etch the windshield.
Oh,
and remove a little bit of clear coat every time.
yeah, don't want that.
So our challenge was to figure out how do we make an effective system that doesn't do that isn't made with such crazy harsh chemicals, and that can be legally shipped through like small quantity, you know.
And we got it.
It took a little effort.
Yeah, it took effort. Yeah.
It's still an ongoing like journey to try and make it as good as we can.
Yeah. So when did like the idea of Stars and Stripes like spark for you? When was that like a
We had
big light bulb moment?
my first set of like safe for everything soaps was not very effective when hard water was being used, and most people have that. We had a customer locally, it was Crestview Construction. They're the next town over. They have a lot of really nice trucks, highly polished, take a lot of pride in them. They have very hard water.
Okay.
And so they weren't getting the results with our soaps. And so they let me know about it, and I dove into it. And my chemist came up with the first version of Stars and Stripes, which had a different surfactant package. Some of the ingredients that are in Stars used to be in Stripes, but weren't compatible with a high pH environment and caused separation and problems. And so over time we ironed those things out early on. But we knew we had something right out the gate because it didn't damage the aluminum, and it did resolve the hard water issue, and it worked much better. And they've been using it ever since. I think that was about 6 or 7 years ago. About 6, 7. But anyway, yeah, so that has been a very successful thing for us.
Awesome.
That was how that happened, was by listening to customer feedback.
Yeah.
Instead of saying,
Gotta listen.
hey, you know, sounds like your problem, you got some hard water.
Yeah.
We figured out like,
Yeah.
what can we do to get better results in that situation? That's how you make progress. So you don't want any soap on there, so let me handle this real quick. Bro, you know what I'm talking about. There's barely any protection on there, man. Come on over here, Abby. This brings us to how we make progress on things. So snake oil was a concept that became really obvious to me when we first started filming in this room. This room isn't just for the videos, it's for R&D so that I can feel out what I would find helpful if only we had something like that. The realization I had on the first crane that I ever washed myself over a weekend in this room was, oh my God, my wrist is gonna fall off if I keep spraying this bottle at this crane to try and put some protection on it.
Yeah.
And so I realized we needed something that was faster. And like I said, we sell time, and so we needed something like this, a foamable SiO2 sealant, something that could get sprayed all over the whole thing, the roof, the underneath, the whole boom of the crane, and then just rinsed. And then, that was born. So this is an R&D room as well. And I think that that's something that we continue to try and look for is where are the gaps? What do we like? What do we not like? I'm always looking for what I'm not happy with, and that's a key in making the soaps better.
Whoa. That's
I love
so
that.
cool. That's really cool. Yeah. It's a good job right there. Good job.
You did it.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Beautiful. Like,
Gloss.
I'm not gonna touch it. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to ruin it. Yeah. So, I guess when did it like start becoming, or when did it stop being a hobby and start becoming like what you envision doing for the rest of your life?
I don't think it stopped becoming a hobby.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
it's
still
still-
enjoy it?
It's still a hobby.
Okay.
That's the best part about
That's
it.
great. You get
Absolutely.
to work doing your hobby like all day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank goodness I feel that way about it,
Yeah.
'cause there's not much else.
Yeah.
This is a lot of effort. This is all day, every day. And for a long time, we've been doing the videos where we bring in a truck or a big project and we clean those. Normally, those have to be filmed on the weekends. So, while that truck is not working, or the heavy equipment or whatever it is.
Yep.
And so lately, these different videos that we've been doing, like for a stretch now since the beginning of this year, every video is like more of a concept of like a topic that we dive into instead of a vehicle.
Yeah.
And so the effort there is for life balance so that it's not a 7-day-a-week thing,
Yeah.
because otherwise it just flows through. Mostly it was for you, Tyler. I felt really bad. I probably would have kept doing it and not realized how unbalanced that was if it weren't for watching you, Tyler. I was like, I can't do this to this poor guy. Like, we're posting a video every Friday to start filming on Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Yep.
And then all the way through Sunday afternoon to the pickup when the customer comes in to see it and get the reaction.
Yeah.
And then Monday, we still have to be here to do everything. So yeah, that was a 7-day-a-week thing.
It's a lot.
I still intend to get in here like maybe one-on-one. I'm not gonna let you come in here, Tyler. I'm not gonna let it happen. But yeah, that's why I think as a hobby, like I'd never even thought about it. But yeah, I don't wanna make everybody here work 7 days a week. That's just unkind.
Well, thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. These machines over here in the corner were ones that I made.
Okay.
These were some of the last ones that I made. I didn't put a lot of love into this. I actually didn't finish it. I was gonna put like a band of like stainless around here. I actually have it out back. I already welded like this frame of stainless to put here. And I was gonna put underlighting on this and have it cast onto the diamond plate. It never happened.
Is it going to?
Now that I think about it, it's really totally left my mind. As far as, what was the question again?
When was the first time that, or what was rather the first time that you did a real like setup for someone?
The first one, I'm trying to think what customer it was. I can't remember, but I do remember the machine. For a long time, I was taking those frames of the machines we had that I showed you in the showroom.
Yeah.
And they would get rusty and a mess and greasy, and like, I would flip them for the customer. I would bring them in and I would sandblast them and repaint them and put all the parts back in. And then I started putting the parts back in a way where it wouldn't be so annoying to work on the next time. I turned the pump orientation around, you know, put the injectors in different places. And then I started getting sick of the frame.
Yeah.
And so I started welding and then figured out how to get into that. It was actually Bedard sheet metal in Westfield who made the first ones before I started welding them myself.
Wow.
And it was a pretty fancy machine, kind of like nice radiuses on it, but it was still the box, except it was more complicated to get into and harder to like get in and out of, because I made it with a clear Lexan cover so you could see the insides, because I wanted it to be kind of like transparent.
Yeah.
But it had all these machine screws holding all these pieces on, and like trying to get through that to get in and work on it was still like counterproductive.
Awful. Yeah.
And so that's when I started like changing the layout, and I got into welding and changing the overall design to a more open external layout. This one's extremely minimal.
Yeah.
This one I didn't even put the plumbing. Like the unloader is built in over here. All the connections that go into that are over here. So this is like super minimal.
Okay.
I just kind of wanted that for this one. That was the first one I made like this. But this isn't nearly as cool as a lot of the ones that I made.
Yeah. The ones you were describing sound like insane.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, they were. I'll have to pull up some pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really nice. Really nice.
What were you going to say?
When did you start working for money? Like doing this for money?
So this I've actually always done for free.
Okay.
All of those demonstrations I talked about before, those were always no charge.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so I kept that going. The reason I do it is because when I was like 20, I had been doing that thing with demonstrations for companies for some years. And I went to a customer, longtime customer, and it was always nice to check in with the guys there, see the guys in the shop, talk with them. As I was delivering one day, this one guy is a friend of mine, mechanic at that shop, Jesse, down at Stone Construction. He might still be watching. This is Jesse. I remember he grabbed the power washer wand while I was delivering out of my truck, my pickup truck, and he washed my truck. And I was like, it made me feel so good.
That's awesome.
I was like, whoa.
So it was like
never experienced this
Inception,
before.
kind of.
Yeah, it was like, I'd always been on the other end of that.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like an effort and work and, you know, and meeting people and like you're trying to see if there's work that can be done collaboratively.
Yep.
But I had never had someone just grab the power washer and just wash my truck.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with me. That was about 22 years ago.
Wow.
And so every time I wash vehicles now, I'm just like, the heck with the money. If that dude was like, hey, give me $20 and I'll do it, you know, like, all right, you know.
Yeah.
You missed a spot. But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought how nice it is to be able to do that for people.
Yeah.
And so every single one that we've ever done in here, no money at all. Sometimes people like tuck like a tip in like somewhere. I'm like,
Don't give me money. It's fine.
I mean, I think that's happened maybe once. I know once for sure. And it's like, no, that's not it. I try and kick people out as quick as I can after we're done.
So they don't do that.
Yeah, no, it's not about that.
Yeah.
For us, it's still a demonstration too. You know, it's like I get to like hook people up with that kind of feeling and excite them. It's really still a demonstration. And so
showing people how your products work and what they do. And
and it's good for me because I'm using that as an experience to figure out what I do and don't like about our line and where the gaps are.
Yeah, definitely.
Abby has like some really good questions now. We're gonna have to set up proper. Well, where do we start?
When did you sort of realize the products on the market just weren't good enough for the quality of the work that you wanted to be doing?
I think that my perception of the stuff on the market has always been one where I feel like I have a respect for them. Like I always want to aspire to get to a place where we offer at least the quality that's out there, and hopefully we can find new ways to make things better or maybe different. And so I always knew that there was a weird gap in the market where when it came to like two-step solutions and touch-free solutions and things that would speed up your time, most of the soaps that were out there were always like just a normal kind of like bucket wash, or like kind of, they all kind of did the same thing. They didn't really save time. And then like I started seeing after a while, you know, and it was funny because like we had these solutions for a long time. The two-step solutions, like I mentioned, we had like some really hardcore soaps that like, and we only packaged them by the drum and dealt with businesses. So they were kind of a niche market, but I thought maybe there was a way to package these down and turn them into something that's more accessible and easier to use, like less risky, but still got the work done, and took it a little further. So I think the gap that I saw was just related to the market and where there was really nobody doing that kind of approach. And I think that once foam cannons came around, it became like, it kind of clicked that there was a solution where we could like mix up these two foam cannons and like put one over the other easily. Whereas previously we needed power washers that had two pickup tubes that were kind of specialized and very expensive. And so the ways of like making that more accessible through foam cannons kind of opened up at the same time.
Okay, so you would say that's kind of like also what inspired you to make your own soaps, I guess?
Yeah, well, we had always like had chemists that would make our soaps that were able to change things around as needed and kind of like based off feedback from our customers. So like that was always kind of a thing my whole life, was like being able to talk to our chemist that we were always, you know, my whole life we always had a chemist. So like I grew up around that aspect. And so I always knew it was an option to just talk to them and say, hey, we need something like this, or we need something to do something else, or we need it to not be doing that, you know? So like that was always an option. I think the struggle was figuring out how to get better at packaging and filling and like working efficiently in these smaller sizes. The reason we only offered the 55-gallon drums is because we were traveling to these businesses, and it was the most efficient way to offer enough volume that would be cost effective to the customer but still worth the trip. You know, if you're driving out and your loop is like 8 hours to like drop off these drums all over your stops.
You don't want to
You can't be doing that for gallon jugs or quarts.
Exactly.
And so, you know, with the sort of, I mean, when we first started that business model, the internet wasn't even around. And so that was just the way it was. You know, we certainly could have been more efficient by shipping things still. We could have still shipped things.
Maybe.
But like the interface of having the website and talking to customers through social media really changed things for us.
Yeah, definitely. So what do you think like was the most frustrating thing back then when you were like first starting out doing your own soaps and all of that?
When it came to, like, we always had the other format with the drums and like that, like I was always used to that. What was frustrating about that was the amount of time driving around to deliver the soap. So like it was always nice to check in on customers and get to FaceTime with them. And sometimes I enjoyed traveling. Sometimes it was really, depending. Sometimes it was a real drain, and it wasn't very efficient.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating in that format. Once we started getting into the bottling aspect and trying to get into these smaller containers, what was frustrating was the process. I know, like my wife and I, we first started doing this, we had gotten into a truck show as a vendor locally.
Okay.
And so this was kind of our first time where we needed to get our soaps into a more condensed package. So I reached out to my vendor that I would buy my 5-gallon pails from, because we did offer 5-gallon pails sometimes for certain specialty soaps we would bring along with the drums.
Yeah.
And I said, I need something small, that can kind of be, filled up and so my vendor recommended these 2.5-gallon cardboard boxes with a sort of a bladder in it.
Oh.
They're 4 chemicals, but they
Yeah.
were a white box.
Okay.
And we still are friends with that vendor to this day, actually. She now walks Kona for us, but
Oh, no way.
this is going back about 10 years probably.
That's so
maybe 9 or 10
cute.
years when we were trying to source something to put these soaps in instead of the drums.
Yeah.
So we started with that, and we had these horrible labels that were we would print them ourselves on self-adhesive printer paper, 8.5 by 11. It was a nightmare to try and peel the backing off of them.
Yeah. I can't even imagine.
So I would design my own labels in Microsoft Word using text boxes and stuff, to try and put the fields around and get all the info on there.
Yeah.
They're pretty rough. And so I'd print 2 labels on a sheet, and then I would use a paper cutter to cut it in half, and then we would peel. We would spend 5 minutes trying to peel each because we couldn't get the backing off of them. That was really frustrating. And so we started that way at a truck show locally, and then when we got there, we set up our tent. I had my truck there, and I knew a couple of the people who were there who had trucks because I'd always worked around that industry. So it was nice to visit with them, but as people were checking out our tent and our table with our boxes of these weird soaps, and these were still the kind of hardcore soaps.
Yeah.
I didn't really have the current solutions we have now. People were really skeptical. They were we couldn't give this stuff away. I mean, we were trying to ask can we get $20 for a box, and we couldn't do it. And so at the end of the show, this is before we really started utilizing social media. We'd already built the website, but at the end of the show, the person who was hosting it was Amy McGrath. She was on a video here recently.
Okay.
She was the grandmother trucker that we
Yes.
took care of. She has been around for this whole journey.
Wow.
So at the end of the show, she was hosting that as part of the Road Rangers 413 Truck Club. And so we were at the end packing up. We still had all of our soaps. So so I gave her what was at the time named M-Shine. And it was still brand new. It was something that our chemist had just recently come up with to help us wash polished aluminum without damaging it, and hopefully get the oxidation off of it still. And so it was still early on. I didn't really know what we had there. And I remember I gave it to her because she had a polished aluminum trailer for the company she worked for that was really let go. I thought maybe this will help her, So as a thank you, we gave her some of that. I think maybe a couple other things. And so she called me up a couple days later, asking for input on, hey, how do I use this stuff? So it was a really nice day, and the company she worked at was a really nice motorcycle ride out to where it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go check this out, see what we find out, because I
Why
was still
not?
curious. And so we got together there, we washed that trailer. It was an east smooth side trailer, and I'm sure we can find a picture of it. We'll have to overlay it when we find
Okay.
it. We'll overlay that. But it was just really let go, and it was very dull looking, right? And an east smooth side trailer can be like a mirror. They're beautiful, light will shine off them and reflect onto the road.
Okay.
And but this one, it was a little let go. So it'd been a couple years since it had been washed, I think. And so she pulled that trailer up, we washed it with M-Shine, which is now Mob Shine. And so while we were doing it, I was used to the hardcore soaps, more like aluminum brighteners and things that would take really nasty surfaces and just nuke them
Yep.
and make them like completely resurfaced, and like it was dramatic. I was used to like really dramatic, results like that. So as we were washing it, it didn't really look like anything was happening. And so I remember just telling her, hey, I am so sorry about wasting your time here, because I don't think this is working,
Yeah.
and so she wasn't bothered one bit. She's like, this is working great. What are you talking about? I think that's what, it was like 9 years ago, but I think it was something to that effect. We ended up kind of, as we're packing up, the trailer dried after we had washed it. And so that was when we realized that when you use like the M-Shine or the Mob Shine formula, when it's still wet, it doesn't really look like anything because the water is still on the surface. It's when it dries that you start to see like the reflection again.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so she's like, hey, look at that, and it would look like we took like 10 years off that trailer.
That's
It was crazy.
awesome.
It was super cool. So that was nice to see, but that wasn't what got us going.
Okay.
That moment of me realizing it wasn't what got us going. What changed was Amy took that before and after picture and posted it on her Facebook page. And until that moment, I had a Facebook page, but I didn't know that you could use it like to share what you did for work or anything.
Yeah.
I would just be like, hey, we're over here at this concert, check out what we're doing here.
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize that our customers were on there and showing off their trucks, like when they would clean them up, because it looked, it was just nice to see them all.
Yeah, they were
shined
just
up.
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And so that was when it clicked, and it was really well received by her friends on Facebook, like what had happened, and generated a lot of interest. So all of a sudden, people wanted to try our soaps.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the key.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was the
So that was the
realization
moment,
for me,
yeah.
when I was like, oh, okay, I can take my Facebook page and I can just share what I'm doing for work and like get the
awesome.
word out. And so I'd already built the website that wasn't working at all.
Yeah.
And that was the key to like start bringing attention to, hey, this is where I sell this soap, right? You can
Wow.
order it, we can ship it.
Yeah.
And so that was how we got going. But
It's awesome.
it was very frustrating. Like you asked, what was the frustrating thing? Like the packaging was really difficult at first. I remember my wife and I were getting ready for a truck show later after that. I forget what the timeline was here, but we were still filling these bottles. Now we're getting into like the 32-ounce bottles.
Yeah.
And now we're peeling these horrible
That's
labels
teeny
and
tiny.
trying to like wrap them and keep them straight. And we're like prepping for this truck show because we're trying to get ready for this truck show that was the next day. We ended up staying up all night to try and get these bottles filled and labeled. And like I remember labeling them, and then we had like a piece of plywood on a drum, and we bumped the table and they all fell down. We were like trying to like, we were struggling, and so we're up
Sounds so
all night, and
stressful.
then we drove 3 hours east to where the truck show was, but it started going better because now at that point we had figured out, okay, we need to make smaller bottles. Like these 2.5 gallon boxes aren't really, they're too much, you know what I mean, for what it is. People want to just try a little bit. And so that's when we got into the 32 ounce, but it was one at a time, filling them by hand and labeling them by hand and
lot.
printing the labels and running out of ink, and like,
Wow.
it was a nightmare. Super frustrating.
Lots of blood, sweat, and tears, it sounds like.
Well, sleepless nights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like fun.
No, well,
Well, it must have been fun at some point.
it was frustrating moments, but it was great for my wife and I to like
Yes.
team up on something. It was really nice to do something like that together and build something and work towards something. We've maintained that ever since. So
Yeah, that's super
Yeah.
cool to watch like your vision just kind of come to life.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So that kind of brings me to my next question. When did Chem-X really like become real for you? When did you kind of realize that?
In its like current form.
In its current form, I guess, yeah. Like when did you kind of like do the transition, and how did that come about?
So there was these two different business models, right?
Yep.
We had this in-person delivery method that was, I had done for 20 years. I had a lot of great relationships with my customers, and it just wasn't scaling. You know, it was dependent on my relationship with them and my cell phone number and like, hey, I need this tomorrow. Can you get here? Hey, we're out of soap or we have this problem or like, and so it was very limited by my own bandwidth. So I'd been building this website and this concept of like, how do we take care of these people that now that they want these 32-ounce bottles and these 1-gallon jugs. At first, I was still delivering those. I actually would deliver free samples all over New England in these 20-hour runs, going to addresses. People would give me like, okay, drop me off a bottle over here, and I would be like driving in the rain.
Oh my God.
On Cape Cod or up in New Hampshire or in Vermont or Rhode Island, like just trying to just drop off samples so people could try it. And so anything I could think of to get the word out, you know, but I wasn't good at shipping it yet and figuring out how to like package stuff and ship it. So that was the very early stages, but slowly after those first truck shows and continuing that and building, you know, we made the transition from the business model of delivery and, you know, taking the empty drums and refilling them, recycling them. We made the transition to e-commerce fully, kind of halfway through the COVID thing. Because like a lot of shops were cool with me showing up to deliver soaps, but a lot of shops weren't, and you never knew. And it was kind of it was kind of like the right time, because we were getting to the point where the e-commerce side was growing beyond that. And so it was kind of like two different things. And right at that time was when we built this studio. And so I remember realizing, like, I knew that I needed a place to like do what I do and just have a spot to clean up trucks or vehicles or equipment and show people what I was doing. But that's when it really resonated with me that I needed to spend my time here, because I was able to talk to a lot of people here at the same time and do a better job of it at the same time. So, you know, when I would show up in person, it was kind of limited to, hey, I'm Bob, I've got some soap. You want some soap? You know, like, you want me to wash your truck? And like, I could do it, but it was one person at a time. There was a lot of travel in between. So I decided to lean into this model. I made sure that we had all the pieces in place to be able to ship our drums to that clientele. But that was a very different business model. And when the customers used to me showing up and taking the old drum and putting the tube in it and all the things I mentioned, that's a whole different thing than a freight carrier showing up with a pallet that you have to unstrap and unload. Now they're doing the work, right? So it's like a big ask. So I didn't maintain very many of those first 20-year customers that I started with because of that shift. It was quite a big change. And so for me, this model became real right around that time where we actually shifted into it, and I started talking to my customers in this room.
Wow. Okay. So you said you lost a lot of customers because of that?
Almost all of them,
Almost all of them, wow.
Yeah.
So how long did it take to kind of like rebuild the customer base that you had gotten? Like
the business to business side, we never did rebuild.
Never.
Yeah, we transitioned into the e-commerce model and like.
And just been that way ever since?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a handful of customers, which is remarkable considering the shift in how we do things. Because I'm not able to take the same care of our customers by not showing up. But the turnaround time has remained consistent and quick. And we've made sure that the soaps are as good as they can possibly be and as concentrated as they can possibly be. And that the pricing is as good as we can make it. So so those pieces are still in place. So there are a handful of customers that still are here to this day, even after that transition. But yeah, that was a big leap.
Yeah, it's kind of a big risk. And that kind of takes me to my next question. Biggest risk you've ever taken in trying to like set this business up and all of that?
Boy, the whole thing has been risk.
Yeah.
I don't know what the biggest one would be.
Riddled with risk.
It might have been moving into this shop.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to afford this shop when we got it. So like our old location was the size of this studio.
Wow.
And
How long was the old location? Like,
I was in there for about 20 years, maybe,
Okay.
yeah, about 20, 22 years.
wow. So
Yeah.
what year would you say that you like had gotten that property? Was that like your father's as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so my father lined that one up when I was 12.
Okay.
And so, so I spent a good amount of my time there, but like, as we started leaning into this business model and started shipping our soaps, like pretty quickly we outgrew that space.
Yeah.
So we needed to make a move, and it was a pretty pivotal moment because we had to have more room. When we first moved in here, this place was empty. It was crazy. Everything we had in the old shop was, I mean, imagine whatever you could fit in this room out in the back area. It's like 12,000 square feet, you know.
Yeah.
And now we're like having trouble fitting in here, but like
Yeah.
at the time, I didn't have. We were always really lean on money. We've never had investors. We've never had any kind of financial support other than the work in itself.
That's
And
freaking
so
awesome.
So it was difficult to make a move like getting into this place because the rent was, 5 times as much money, and then the down payment just to get in cleared our bank account of everything we had.
Oh my God.
And so my blender at the time was actually out of New Jersey still. And so he was the chemist who I'd always known, the blender I'd always known, and he'd always taken good care of us. We had a good relationship. But I always had remote bookkeeping help. And I'd spent some time doing it myself, but I think at this point I had gotten into having remote help on the books. And so there wasn't a system in place to like forward invoices back and forth and like knowing that we had something or if we didn't get a bill for it. So because we were moving, I used up all of our soap inventory so that we wouldn't have to move it.
Wow.
So we drained our old shop down to nothing, and then
Wow.
I couldn't believe we had enough money for first, last, and for the down payment of like this unit.
Yeah.
And so we spent everything we had, and I called my chemist, and he's like, "Oh, I forgot to send you the bill for the last order that you had." And it was all of the money that I'd spent on this unit. And so, so that was a big problem.
Yeah.
So now I had a
Yeah.
bill that I couldn't
Couldn't pay.
make money
Yeah.
to pay. And so
Wow.
that was when we teamed up with our current blender, who is next door to us, actually.
Yeah.
It worked out
Wow.
crazy.
It's
We were very
insane.
fortunate.
Yeah.
And so he was able to blend for us in small quantities that we could afford. And being local, it was easier to have smaller quantities as needed.
Exactly.
And then we were able to slowly pay off that debt. But yeah, that changed things up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But that kind of aided us in getting away from the really hardcore soaps that we'd always been using and getting into some new ideas that were more appropriate for cars and for things, just for things to go more smoothly for the customer, just in case they let it dry or they, the old soaps, you couldn't put them on your windshield. Like
wow.
you can't not put soaps on your windshield.
Right.
Like, you want to clean
like-
your windshield.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
so there was a lot of advantage to switching things up at that point. But yeah, that was a very risky time period for us.
Yeah. So, in the midst of all the riskiness going on, what was like the hardest period of this transitional period that like nobody really saw?
Probably when I hired my first employee at the old shop.
Okay.
I couldn't afford that either.
Wow. Yep.
So my wife and I decided that we would move into our shop.
Wow.
So we built a shipping container home, and it was actually pretty sweet.
That sounds really cool.
It sounds
actually.
like a real big sacrifice, but it was crazy nice.
Sounds
We
really
had like we had it up on stilts. I welded some nice legs for the thing, put lighting underneath it. I had my workbench underneath to build my power washers and my systems. We had a crazy, unique kitchen with a walk-in shower, tankless heat,
That's so cool.
2 zones heating and air conditioning with mini splits. Like, I think I spent $5,000 or $6,000 building it, and then we eliminated our personal expense of rent. So that was probably the hardest struggle because there was no windows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot that shipping containers don't really have windows.
We had
They
cut,
don't need
well,
windows.
the shipping container, I cut the side off of it with a friend of mine, helped me out with cutting,
okay.
like plasma cutting the side of the container. We put glass walls on that side.
Okay.
So it looked out over the shop.
Okay, that's awesome.
But the
That's
shop
really
was a
cool.
box with no windows. So like in the inside, it was pretty cool. But
Yeah.
it wasn't really something that I felt comfortable with. Like,
Yeah.
we did that for a while so that we could afford to hire people.
Yep.
And slowly we hired a couple more people as we got going. But it allowed us to focus in without having a commute. It's a crazy sacrifice.
Yeah.
It makes me think like there's always stories you hear about like Andy Frisella like living in his vitamin store when he first started First Form.
It's like
Like
everyone-
resonates a little different when you've also done it. Like you're like, oh wow, okay, I get that.
Yeah, like that's
So,
real. Like
It's real for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely had a lot invested in trying to get this thing up to where it's going. So fortunately, we were able to grow past that and get a house and like get a little bit more normal after that.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would say we still put about the same amount of effort in all the way down through this day.
Wow.
Of like just being present with it. And my wife did her own thing, started her own business after that, and then I did this and kept this going. So she helped me get kind of started in the first place. And then at a certain point, she started her own business, and now she's sold that business and come back here because like we're kind of in a weird place now where things are accelerated. They're growing faster than we can barely handle the growth like gracefully.
Yeah.
So like that's been great to have her help again. So that's kind of come full circle with her being in the mix. So thankfully we've got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important. That's been a very, very key factor for us.
Yeah, that's great. So it was kind of like you and Kayla kind of started it up, kind of. Was that kind of like the vibe? Like you guys were kind of like the starters of this whole thing?
I don't think I could have done it without her support because I think that, she, in a relationship, you can have your significant other like be like not into it and saying you need to be more balanced. You need work-life balance.
Yep.
I think Kayla always understood that my passion for this thing was just like we were talking about a hobby almost, like something that I'm really enjoying, that I'm thriving on. So it's not really a work-life balance thing. Like we
Like
do.
it is your life.
We do take time, like to do, like go on a hike and walk Kona,
Of course,
and like go out for dinner and things like that. But like, but she has never given me any problems about, you're putting too much into this, and so it just allows me to kind of relax and feel more enjoyment for what we do without feeling like any kind of weird guilt about it or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. No,
She's
it's
like
important.
all in on your dream.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and thank goodness for that, because if it weren't for her help, I don't think I could have gotten this far.
Yeah.
So that's been important.
Yeah, the support is everything for sure. Let me see here. We kind of touched on this, I think, but when was the moment that you knew like this form of the business, like the e-commerce aspect of everything? When did you realize that, or when was the moment that it clicked for you that it could work, like actually work?
I think that still goes back to that trailer we watched. When I saw the results on Facebook and that people were like resonating with that.
Yeah.
And maybe there's 15 people on that post who are like, wow, that's crazy. I want to try that. in the way I was doing things, to get 15 people to be excited about my soaps in that little amount of time, I couldn't even believe it.
Wild, yeah.
Yeah, so that was when it clicked for me that I see where I can make this work now.
Yeah.
Now I understand how to get the traffic to my website, and we can just keep working on providing better solutions and making the products nicer, and just making sure that we have fast shipping, and all of that stuff started to make sense, and we just kept working towards that.
Besides Kayla, was there anyone else that was in your life at the time that kind of like pushed you to make that leap to start this business?
I think my first employee was like a great help because we were very good friends. I think that he was willing to step in and help me kind of push a little bit harder and with a little more focus. And I think that he allowed me to get into more of a focus on the creative side. So instead of always doing every aspect of trying to keep everything straight and managed, it allowed me to be a little more creatively free to like try and start pushing the social media a little harder.
Yeah.
And so his name was Keith. He is one of his brothers still works here. We ended up hiring both of his brothers. They have been fantastic help over the years. And one of his brothers still works here today designing our labels. That's Kevin.
Yes.
And so, yeah, he was a great help for sure, getting us through a ton of hurdles and roadblocks. Getting all of these state approvals for the room here, like for the site work to get this room built. And then there was my chemist is another big one, because if it weren't for meeting him and being open to like seeing what he could do, even though my chemist is not from the automotive industry, a lot of the ingredients are the same. He works in multiple different industries, but the automotive one was a new one for him.
Okay.
And so it took a minute to like kind of come up with these solutions that would be
That's so cool.
appropriate for cars, or for trucks, but obviously that's a key piece, right? Like I can't create like these formulas without the help of a chemist. Like I'm not that guy.
Like you're not Walter White.
No, definitely not. I know about what the ingredients that I like are and what the ones I don't like are, or like how concentrated they need to be.
Yeah.
But really, I just know what they do when you actually use them. And getting familiar with that on a kind of trial and error basis and getting customer feedback and building on things like in that way. Yeah. That's the key. And so I think that his help has been integral. Of course, everybody on the team over the years has been, there's no way that I could do any of this without everybody's help. Yeah. So like this is, it's always been good for me to try and, at first it was hard for me to let go because I was a one-man show for 20 years. But as I like got better at like understanding that other people could focus in on one area and do it much better than I could, like I started to relax on that. And then over time, I became good at delegating, but not good at follow through. So there was kind of a medium success rate of what would happen if I like delegated it or not. Maybe I delegate it and it just kind of disappears and like you never think about it again, or maybe it goes and somebody takes initiative and keeps on rolling with something in a direction. Yep. And so, I've had some interesting changes over the last year or so where like I ended up meeting Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage. That was really cool. And then he tied me in with his business coaches who've been really, really big help and have taught me certain things like how to focus attention on someone, establish their value, how to bring attention to an issue that you need help with, and then the follow through of like setting a time like, hey, can you give me a solution on this by tomorrow at 3 p.m.? Yep. And then setting that in my calendar, just that one little extra step is a thing that can change that dynamic of delegating something and forgetting about it, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, to follow through and building respect and helping someone else feel like they're really making a meaningful impact. So like there's a lot of dynamics that have changed over time. and a lot of just so many people that I would not be able to build this thing without.
That's awesome. That's crazy. So many hands on this project for sure.
Yeah, and
That's wild.
it still feels small. You
Yeah,
know?
no, it definitely.
There's like, I think, I don't know if there's 17 of us or 18 of us right now.
Yeah, there's around 20, but definitely.
20?
Yeah, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But it's still
Insane.
small.
Yeah, it's still pretty small. Yeah.
I feel like a McDonald's would have 20 people.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
We're a tiny company.
Yeah.
You know, so we're still at the beginning of whatever this turns into.
For sure. Yeah. When did you start blowing up on YouTube and TikTok? Like, when did you start really like gaining followers? And
As soon as we built this room, like I just started holding to putting videos out every Friday, which is a struggle. We're doing that right now, but it's
Yeah.
like all consuming to try and put out videos every
Oh,
Friday.
yeah.
So during COVID, I think there was a lot of interest in cleaning content, and they just launched the shorts format.
yes, they
TikTok
did.
was new, and there was a lot less people posting on there, so it was a lot easier to get on the For You page. The shorts were an answer to TikTok. Instagram Reels were an answer to TikTok. So fortunately, I was on TikTok early, and I just had fun with it. I didn't like take it seriously. I kind of took like, you know, originally I was on Facebook, and I had a personal account there. I still have that account, but it was like capped at 5,000 people.
Okay.
And so it became clear I needed to like get a business account so it wouldn't be
Yeah.
capped at 5,000 people. I got some traction there, but the Facebook account is still pretty small because I really started to feel like Facebook was like AOL or something. It just felt really dated.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't really enjoy the platform, and it felt like I didn't experience the virality there naturally. It just felt like once I was on the business platform and I had products, and it was like they were kind of throttling, waiting for me to put ad money on stuff. And so I got away from like caring about Facebook almost at all.
Yeah.
And I focused my attention on TikTok because it was fun. I could use like crazy music and like,
Yep.
and then once shorts and reels came around on YouTube and Instagram, it was just the same content. So like whatever I was making for one channel would work on all of them. And so once the COVID thing was going on, there was just some strange interest in like detailing content. There still is, but I don't think it's as strong now as it used to be.
Yeah.
But I remember I had several shorts in a row that got 30 or 40 million views,
Wow.
which is like
30, 40 million?
yeah, over and over and over
Holy
again.
crap.
And then even on TikTok, it was
Yeah.
also getting up into the 20, 30 million range. So like
Wow.
the boost to the follower count was like really quick.
Mm-hmm.
So like that was really helpful because the long videos are really hard to make. It's really hard to get people to watch them all the way through, get the retention, and film them and edit them in a way that like really is engaging, you know? So the short format was a real boost for us because I was still kind of getting a grip on how to do it, how to be. And so that was how we got up over 100,000 subs in like pretty quick. I mean, we've been doing it for a little while, but like once that time period hit and we were in here, it worked out pretty quick. We got the YouTube button. That was a really, really cool moment.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was the key, was short form content. But my goal has always been more about the long form stuff. We film the long form stuff first.
Yep.
And then we pull our vertical clips out of that and kind of make little sections by topic based on that. So we end up with a lot of short clips out of every YouTube video that we film.
That's awesome. So you get like tons of content from all those videos.
Right, yeah. And then we're not stuck if we have a vertical clip that we can't really use as nicely on YouTube when it's
Yep.
like horizontal. So like we just start with the horizontal and then cut the vertical out of the 4K footage.
Yep. That's perfect.
It works out pretty good.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about working in this industry?
It's the people, especially the other business owners, like other people who do the same thing is really, really fun to me to talk to them because there's a lot of different perspectives there and you learn what their struggles were, how they go about problems that they're dealing with that are similar to ours, and hey, what did you do for this? You know, when you got to this stage, how do you do this portion of it? You know, what is your experience with these shippers, or like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got all those connections.
Yeah, it's really interesting to talk to other
Yeah.
business owners in this industry. And that's one thing that I remember when I was doing this on the road, I was very like territorial almost, because like if you lose a customer, it's like devastating. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm barely able to make the rent. I don't know like how I'm going to get another customer. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it was really hard to line up work. So like at this point, the way that this format works, there's no real scarcity. You know, you just do your thing and enjoy what you're doing. And so like, there's really not competition, even if someone's doing the exact same thing as you or with the exact same ideas. That's just a person who has a very similar passion that like you can really enjoy talking to if you're open to it.
Yeah.
And the more companies that I've gotten in touch with, the more I've realized that that's actually universally been my experience. As I reach out to other businesses, they always are like, let's get together. We'd love to
Yeah.
hang out, show you our place, you know,
That's
give you a
awesome.
tour. And it's cool because we've learned a lot of really helpful stuff from asking other business owners. You know, like even the fact that we're on the TikTok shop at all
Yeah.
was a direct result of Black Lion Car Care, because
Wow.
I couldn't get our soaps onto that platform. The system was all glitchy. It wasn't allowing us to apply, and then it was like
That's so weird.
denying us for no reasons, and it was like, so the owner of Blackline tied us in with his rep, and they got us going.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
that's the whole reason we're on it.
Wow. All
So-
because of another soap company.
Yes, who's a competitor, technically,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we've never looked at it that way. We had him on our video with drying towels last week.
Yeah. That's wild.
You know,
That's
so-
so cool.
So that perspective has been the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is not going at it like you're at war with people. You're just you just have similar interests, and you probably just have a lot in common.
Yeah. And bouncing ideas off of each other makes it like that's awesome.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
It's cool. Getting into your products though, most companies hide how their products are made. Why are you so transparent, and why do you want like people to know the process and all of that?
I think that it's important to show the struggle of it. I do see a lot of brands that'll show like their filling process, and I don't feel like it doesn't, for some reason when it's all perfect and everything's running smoothly, like it doesn't really, I don't think it resonates as well as when your filler like explodes and
Yeah.
like the everything goes off the rails and all the issues happen. I like to show that kind of stuff because it's a little more real about like what we're actually dealing with. Like I'm probably gonna film our repair for our filler because our pump is like gushing soap
Yeah.
out the bottom when we're trying to fill.
Why
like,
not film
so
a video?
like
Yeah.
I would rather share like, and it's not a pretty situation. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not proud of it,
No.
but I feel like it humanizes us to talk about
Yeah.
those things. And I think that like a lot of companies, even if they have their own soaps, you know, their own blends, let's say they're not just white labeling it, but they're making something from scratch. A lot of times those materials have to be shipped in and then they're bottled in another location, kind of a co-packer arrangement. Some places do blend like fully from start to finish. You know, I think we're kind of a hybrid here where we have our chemist who's right here. So we're able to walk in a 30-second span to go see the batches being made. And it's pretty efficient, so we don't have any shipping costs, you know, to deal with in between. I just think it's something to be proud of that, like, you know, we have that going on. I think the reason a lot of brands hide who their blender is, if they do have an arrangement with a co-packer, is because they're probably concerned that like other companies will reach out and just be like, we want you to make that for us and like not them, and like, and I guess obviously that's a possibility, but like, I think it's so much more important to have the confidence in your business connections to say, look who we deal with here. They've been a great help to us. And I hope that my blender gets some work out of that.
Exactly.
I think that'll benefit him. I think that's
Yeah.
better for the actual relationship. And so I think that to do anything else would probably sell short the value of all of the things that we do, that these are our ideas. We've helped shape them. Our customers have helped shape them. And I like the idea of showing all of the steps that go into it because there's a lot, and we've put a lot of work into that. And I am very proud of all of the stuff that we're getting done here. So I think it's exciting to share.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that video that you did the other week with like showing the whole process of labels and all that stuff, that was super fun.
It was fun. Yeah, and it was pretty brief considering how much goes on there actually.
Yeah.
I don't think we spent 30 seconds about, we just mentioned labels.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time that goes into that.
Yeah, lots of time goes into every step.
Yeah, everything. All the work that you do in the writing and like all of the product photography is another good example. Getting the email campaigns going. All of the site design work that your team is doing right now is crazy. The amount of effort we're talking about. I mean, the new Chem-X.com is probably going to be coming out around the time of this video.
Yes.
So how long has that website been getting built at this point?
At this point, probably around a month, maybe month and a half.
That's pretty quick considering how much has gone into that.
Yeah.
So you guys have been really efficient with your time, but like that's a big project.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just thinking about how the menu is going to be structured is mind-bending.
Yeah, and the menu looks like crazy now. It's so cool. I feel like it's going to be a lot more user-friendly.
Yeah,
and people are going to like it.
Yeah, helping everyone, like you're trying to put your mind into when people are trying to find something, what are they looking for and how do we make that as easy as possible?
Exactly. We
That's
want
a
to
difficult
minimize
perspective.
search, like clicking through and all the clicks. We want to minimize the clicks.
Even like looking at what the searches are.
Yep.
And like saying, okay, this needs to be easier.
Yes.
Right. That's probably one of the main things that you guys are considering too. Yeah, there's a million things going on.
Yeah.
The
lots of different stuff.
Inventory aspects, the software aspects, the accounting aspects, all of these logistics things and vendor relationships and turnaround times and lead times and importing. I mean, there's a million things going on here.
1,000,001.
So
it's
like,
wild.
I could picture going into that stuff way more in depth, and it'd probably be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I love that behind the scenes like kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It shows that you're like proud of your business, like you said, and just like very transparent with your audience, and you want them to see all the work that goes into it.
Yeah,
That's
big time.
Really cool. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah.
So why do you think that you design and blend everything in-house? Like, why did you choose to do that?
It's efficient. Like turnaround time is a big thing, and also the cost of blending. We're very fortunate to be able to meet a really good, talented chemist in town here and be able to get units next to each other. It made a lot of sense. He and I have been always under the same understanding too, that like eventually we need to get our own chemist in-house, like in our company. And so like we will be at that stage at some point. I'm not sure what the timing is on that yet. There's space constraints here. So but yeah, the eventual goal is that we would get to a place where we can have that fully in one unit within the Chem-X.
Streamlined.
Yeah, that would be better. Yeah, so we'll definitely get to that place. For now, I mean, for the last, it's been 8-9 years since we've been blending with our current chemist. That's been a good arrangement because he knows what he's doing. He's very talented. He's very quick. He keeps his stuff stocked, and his quality control has been fantastic. We've really had very few batch problems.
That's awesome.
And so one of the things that would be a nightmare on our end is like, with as complex as this already is, if we had that aspect of it too, we would be dealing with so much more complexity on making sure that the batch quality is the same and that everything's really up to spec. And so that's been helpful for us to focus on these other aspects in this early, kind of development period of this thing.
Yeah.
So I think that format's worked out pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think once we're ready for it, we'll know when the right time is, but we'll definitely need more room. So it'll probably be after relocating.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I feel like it really does make more sense to have the blender nearby. Like you said, it makes it just way more efficient. And
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I don't really understand why people would outsource. I mean,
Well, the freight is a big factor
Yeah.
in the cost, you know.
Yeah.
It's not efficient,
That is true.
you know, it's just not efficient to ship it from the raw material manufacturer, like the individual ingredient manufacturer, to the blender, to the co-packer.
Okay.
Like that, every time you
Yeah.
move something, it adds cost.
Yeah.
So at least with this format, and what works nice here is it's raw materials to this location, and there's no further cost
Yeah.
other than from us to the customer.
That's awesome. That's a sweet deal.
That is
for
pretty
sure.
good. Yeah, it's worked out well.
Yeah. So I guess going back to YouTube, why did you choose YouTube to start like posting videos and all of that? What was your thought process there?
I've always watched YouTube. I love the culture there, and I love that there's a lot of fun to be had there, and there's more of a long-term relationship to be had on YouTube, because the format, being whatever length you want it to be, allows you to build like an actual relationship with your viewer.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot. I like that I see the same people in the comment section. I always know who's going to pop in, and there's an overtime relationship there. When you get onto the For You page on TikTok, you have no idea who anybody is. You go live on TikTok. Maybe I would get to know people more if I focused in on it more, but I think that the way that platform works just shows you to a random jury full of people who are completely like just a test subject of like this
Yes.
kind of person, and then maybe if it works with those 10, it'll show you to 100 people like them, and then 1,000 people like them if it does well at each stage. That's how you get on the For You page. And when you're on the For You page, you're just in front of humanity. You don't know who the heck. I don't know if I've ever seen. I've seen a few of the same comments from the same people a few times
Yeah.
here and there, but like on YouTube, I can count on it. I can put a video out and I know who I'm talking to. It allows you to build like an actual relationship with the viewer, which is fantastic. And when I'm talking to our channel on YouTube, I know exactly in my head who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
It's not like just a random thing, you know. And you get to know what would work, what people would like, and like what I like to do, and people get to know me better. So like, I like YouTube because it allows me to build real relationships.
Yeah, I feel like that also just like matches up 100% like with your brand and like the transparency that you have with your brand already. It just makes sense that you would want to have that relationship with your customers.
Yeah, and that format we talked about of doing the demonstration, right? Like we still do all these for free here, no different. But at this point, I can share that with so many more people at once that I don't know the number of views that we've gotten in here, but it's probably I think it's around 500 million.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how many lifetimes that would have taken me to talk to
500
that many
million
people before in the old format, but like, and at the same time, I'm able to make a better experience where we really go deep on something. And I like that because when I would do the details, I remember maybe get the outside of the truck clean, but like to have all the tools to go inside and out, go underneath and hit the roof and
Awesome.
drive a scissor lift up to it and polish it and like and then surprise somebody because they didn't see it happen.
Yep.
Like I love doing all that.
Yeah.
And so this format here is like, it's just what I would want to do with my time, you know? And so this has been definitely the format to go with.
That's awesome. So moving forward, what do you want Chem-X to become? Do you have a vision? A specific vision?
Well, it's growing, and
Yeah.
I like to see that. I like the changes that come with that. I want to see it continue to grow. You know, we're still pretty small. We had our biggest year ever last year at an overall income of 6 million. Wow. So like, and we don't know how much profit we had, but we know it was very tight. Yeah. And like, even throughout last year, you know, there's just been really tight moments where we're stressing out about just making everything continue to go. And at this stage, like, you know, individual invoices can come in at over 6 figures. And like, you know, our credit line is able to be maxed by one invoice from one vendor. And so we just try and work with we're working with real money,
Yep.
right? We're not loading up our cards and carrying balances there. We're not paying interest. So like there's a lot of good there, but I want to get this to a place where we have more forward thinking on that level, where we can plan for having a building that will fit us, because like we're really squeezed in here, and I want to see us with our own building.
Yep.
I want to own the property. I want to have enough room for tanks to blend in. I want to have enough room to have a dedicated filling line for the round bottles and a dedicated filling line for the F-style gallon jugs. Maybe even a dedicated filling line for 5-gallon pails. Like,
Dedicated for everything.
if we don't have to set up different layouts for every
Yeah.
type of filling that we do, it would be so much better.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the room to spread out in one shot our current filling lines, that every piece is connected.
Yep.
I think that's killing us. Like, we're limited by how much we can put out, and we have to connect these things in a straight line so that we can have the bottle go in, get filled, get capped, get labeled, batch numbered, heat shrunk, induction sealed, and offloaded. And if we can do 3 lines for all the main different sizes that we have, I mean, the equipment to do that, you know, after you move, the building is going to have to be $6 to $10 million if you're going to build, because we need something kind of unique. I'm hoping we can find someone who is looking to liquidate some real estate,
Yeah.
and then, you know, maybe it's a fit and it's like two sides of the puzzle that can come together. But to build something that's big enough, what we would need to be able to continue to grow is 6 to 10 million in all of our ventures looking into it so far.
Wow. That's
And
a lot
so,
of money.
yeah, so, and you know, that's just to get the space to then spend 200,000, 300,000 on having those filling lines all lined up. We have certain pieces already that work, but like to expand that and not have to do setup in between. I think that we'll have to get those goals done, like we have to start thinking ahead financially.
Yeah.
And so we have to figure out ways to streamline and get more productive at the same time, so that we can actually have something to work with to make the moves that we have to make. That's probably the biggest hurdle that we're going to face in our history, is trying to get to that stage.
Yeah.
And so we just keep on working towards that.
Keep pushing.
Yeah.
Keep her pushing. Who is Chem-X for, would you say?
Oh, it's for anybody with anything that needs to be cleaned, you know? Yeah, like mostly vehicles.
Yeah.
Sometimes people use our stuff on boats.
And on houses, right?
Yeah, houses, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, fleets, municipalities, detailers, homeowners. There's really not like, you know, like I came from the trucking industry, from that kind of clientele and municipalities and construction companies. So like we kind of had solutions that really helped there, because you have a giant vehicle that gets hammered every day that will fall apart if you don't take all the salt off of it and all of that. And so it's a huge, I mean, imagine, you know, you have a 72-foot long big rig and trailer of your own that you want to keep it from falling apart, because it's a ton of money to buy something like that. And so you wash this thing by hand, you know, underneath, and like it's 12 feet high.
It's
Like,
a lot.
like
That takes like a
it's
long
nightmare.
time.
so like our
would take, like,
our
2
soaps
days.
are really well suited for those guys, because it's like, if you have that much to do and you can do it without touching it, that's a big
Yeah.
deal.
That's insane.
You know, so that's
Yeah.
where the start we had was. But you know, this works because our soaps being safe on the kind of big rigs we wash with all the polished aluminum and stuff like that, that's the hardest thing I've dealt with to not damage. And so with that out of the way, the cars are like super easy to clean. And what we end up having is like a 5-minute wash time on a car without really as much risk of scratching. I mean, obviously you could blast your power washer right into dirt and move it around and damage something in that way. But if you put on the soaps and let it kind of break down, and then you rinse, and you
Yeah.
just keep a nice, you know, reasonably consistent distance, right? Then you eliminate the bucket method entirely, and all of the physical contact and the whole concept of every time you touch it, you're kind of marring it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, it's a big advantage.
Yeah,
And if
for
you're
sure.
a detailer and you have, let's say you have 10 clients to do over the course of a day, and it takes you a certain amount of time to wash the cars, maybe you can streamline that time and either put more effort into other stages of it. You know, you're able to maybe do more cars in the same amount of time. So streamlining time has a lot of advantages for everybody, whether you're a big trucking company or a detailer or a homeowner. It's just a natural fit for anybody with a vehicle.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess last but not least, this is the last question that I have for you, but what does this company stand for?
Oh, I hate those kind of questions. What does
Save
it
the worst
stand
for last.
Oh. I mean, like, we have it on our tape, right? Fueled by freedom, driven by results. That's like a tagline that I like, because I think it's kind of about that. It's a combination of just being proud of our community and our people around us, and like our whole surroundings, right? And the freedom that you can like do something like this and start something like this. I find it inspiring to be able to get into this at all, you know, to be able to start a business and like kind of lean into it and have a lot of fun with the marketing of it, and so the results aspect, like that's what it is, right? We are fueled by freedom and we're driven by results. I love that.
Yeah.
I think that really says a lot about us. I mean, we have like we have our mission statement. You know, maybe you'll put that on the page or something.
Yeah, I have the mission statement on the About
I've
Us
drafted
page.
those too. Did I write that?
I don't know.
I might have.
I think you might have, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It was the one in the brand book document. I don't know if you...
Yeah, I don't know if maybe Lexi pulled that from, maybe she created something, but
Yeah.
I do have a mission statement that I wrote,
Okay.
but like mission statements
Probably
are,
pulled that, yeah.
I write them and they go, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's
I believe them, but it's
yeah.
not like something I can quantify.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 But no, the mission statement goes along with like basically everything that you just said. So it
I think the
tracks.
mission is something like to serve the detailing and trucking communities with solutions that
Yeah.
help them save time and therefore labor, something like that.
It is something
It's
like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah. And then it's like, it says something about how we didn't expect to grab the attention of all the other people because you started with truckers.
Right.
And
Right.
Yeah. And we're all about transparency. That's like a big thing in the mission statement. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get more familiar with that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's okay.
Awesome. Well, this is great. I
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
write this up, and I'm glad that we could get together and answer a few of these things.
Me too.
And I hope that you guys out there have enjoyed this, because it's
my
been
gosh,
an
yeah.
interesting conversation. There's a lot of stuff in here that we haven't really ever gotten into
Yeah.
before.
It's been fun. It's been fun discussing it all and learning about it all. It's
Yeah.
kind of like my first time actually like learning from you everything about the business. So
Right? Yeah. There's a lot. There's
it's really
a lot
interesting. Yeah.
there. Yeah. There's a lot there. We could probably go on for days.
Yeah.
Honestly. But-
I actually do have one more question.
okay. There you go.
Do you have any big goals for this year that you want to like make happen?
One of the first ones that comes to mind is fulfillment by Amazon.
Yep.
That's a big one. We want to launch a lot of new products.
Yeah.
We're going to start branding a lot more things.
Okay.
We've got a lot of big goals in relation to new branded products, with the goal of being able to just, now that we have an Amazon store, with like your help getting a lot of things done there, and Keisha's help with the A+ content and all that.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, Lexi's done a great job of making sure that all of the stuff goes smoother on Amazon. That's a really challenging platform.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
very
we want to be on
frustrating.
there because like I want to get the turnaround time down for people on the West Coast or down south. I think that if we can get into Amazon FBA and be on Prime,
Yep.
then you know someone in Washington State can order it and not have to wait like 5 or 6 business days or whatever it is from the East Coast to the West Coast, that is too long.
It's a long time.
I can't expect anybody to think that far ahead. I mean, it's always surprising that people are still okay with ordering from us, even though we only ship from this location.
Yeah.
But we have to fix that.
Yeah.
I want to get into more international work. So we've got some new distributors. You know, we
Awesome.
have Australia, we have
That's super
Hawaii
cool.
now.
Awesome.
We have Canada, which has been going for some time, but we need to figure out Europe
Yeah.
and Puerto
Definitely.
Rico and Mexico, and there's a lot of different markets that we need to figure out how to
Yeah.
have distribution in. So those will probably pan out more this year as well. But one of our top priorities is Amazon Prime. We have to get that going.
Yeah.
You know,
Just
if we can
for
get that
customers.
straight, man, that'll be a huge upgrade.
Huge, because then people will be getting their stuff in like a day or two.
Yeah, and it'll help us because we can make things in bulk here
Yep.
and then leverage external warehousing.
Yep.
So we have that as a top priority.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Very cool.
Big things in 2026.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Hey, cool.
That is for sure.
Thank you so much, Abby. All right, so check out our new website. We need your guys' help to tell us where we've missed something, if anything. Does the new menu make sense? Is it better, you know?
Yeah, does it feel better? Is it easier for you guys?
We need your help. Help us figure out the next improvement for it because we're still fine-tuning it and we need your input on that. And check out our brand new About Us page. Thanks, Abby. Come on.
Absolutely.
I have a really fun Easter egg for you guys.